Alright, so this video will be the most helpful for teaching you how to print for your projects. Okay, so this file that I'm working from, again, is the file that I got on Moodle. Okay, so in Moodle, under the Lab 5, there's this floor plan from Lab 4. Okay, so download that. That's the file that I'm working with here. Okay, so this file is actually done using my template, and the nice thing about this is the paper space already has a title block on it that I've drawn. Okay, so this first layout here, this first paper space is an A3 sheet of paper, and the second one is a A4 sheet of paper. For your project, I want you to be printing on an A3 sheet of paper. Okay, and notice I've already drawn a viewport here for you. I showed that in the last video how to create that, but that viewport is already there. Okay, so let's say I want to take this and I want to plot it here. Well, let's double click on the viewport and you say, well, where is it? Okay, well, you could start just zooming in, zooming out. I don't see it. Okay, so if it's there somewhere, it's just lost. You can find it by typing in zoom here, press enter, and now you want to type in E or just click on extents there, and now it will zoom in to wherever that is. Now, in order for this to work, you have to be in model space, right? So you had to have double clicked on the viewport there, right? If you were out here in, sorry, let's say I was back here and I don't know, it was lost somewhere and you didn't know where it was, and I was over here in paper space and I do the same thing and you do extents, well, it just it makes the paper zoomed in, right? So for example, let's say I'd zoomed out here and you say, oh, where's my paper? I'm in paper space and I can't find my paper. It's like I'm on the moon somewhere. Type in zoom, press E for extents, and there's that. Okay, there's my sheet of paper, but now in my viewport, where's the object I want to print? Double click, press Z for zoom, E for extents, and there it is. Okay, in your project, okay, let's get back to paper space. In your project, I do want you to specify a scale, okay? So in your viewport here, double click on your viewport to get into model space. You do need to set a scale, right? And you can't just, as you learned with Mr. Allen, scales, you don't just say like 21.887. They're typically numbers like 1 to 30, 1 to 40, 50, nice whole numbers. There's 1 to 50, that looks pretty good. Maybe I could even do 1 to 40. Yeah, that's even better. There's 1 to 40. Let's make it approximately centered on the paper. Okay, so now I know what the scale is. That's 1 to 40. Okay, now double click here. Okay, so I'm back in paper space. Now that's what I want to print. Okay, now if I want to put notes in here, make sure that on the layer there's a title block layer. Okay, so all the drawing done here is actually done, or on paper space is done in this title block layer. Right, so if I click on this is actually in the title block. Whoop. That name, I can double click there, highlight it, and type in your name. Okay, so your name can go there. You will also need to change the scale. So here I could change this to, for me, it's 1 to 40. Okay, if you want to move it, you can do that as well, just by clicking on these boxes here and moving it. Okay, you can change the assignment name to, I don't know, what is this? This is your Lab 4 assignment. If it gets a little big, you can make it a little smaller. Come up here and make it 2.5 or something. I think 3 should be fine. Okay. All right, you can change the date. This is a sheet number. The reason for this is if you have multiple sheets, like I showed you for the structure that was supposed to be built on top of the academic building at UKH for the architecture department, you had multiple sheets, so you could change this to sheet 1. All right. So you will just have one sheet for your project, but that's where you would change it. Now, if you want to type more notes up here, maybe you want to put notes that all the dimensions are in meters, or put some notes about the thickness of the wall or something like that, you could put that here. Make sure you're in the title block layer though, okay? And then you can just simply make sure to add text just like you would do anywhere else, okay? So from here you could say all dimensions are in meters. Make sure you set a height of that. I'll set it to be 3. Okay, and there's that. There's one note. And you can continue to add other notes here as you want. Okay. Now notice I can draw things out here, right? Just like I'm in, just like I draw in the model space, you can draw in paper space. That doesn't mean those things are showing up here. This is model space, and this is paper space. Okay, so I've actually done the work of drawing this title block here for you, just in paper space, and I've drawn it using this layer. All right. For example, if I turn that layer off, turn the current layer off, you see what goes away. All that was in my title block layer. Okay? Okay, so that's how you can edit your title block here. So set the sheet scale, all this, put different notes that are necessary here in the notes side, here in the notes area. Keep in mind that so for this project you only have one sheet. If you were creating more sheets for a bigger project, you could just copy one. So I could right click here and say move or copy. You could create a copy of that A3 and just click OK, and now you see what you have here. There's a second one, right? So over here, on the second one you created, you could maybe put the steel structure plan here, okay, and then you could come back over here and change that to sheet number 2. All right, so now you have, come on computer, my computer's running slow. I could, here's sheet 1 that has the floor plan, and then sheet 2 maybe has the steel plan on it or something. Okay, all right, so now I want to turn this into a PDF. Just go to plot, click on preview, and yeah, there's, now notice I'm in grayscale. Let's say I want to turn that to black and white to make it easier to see. You can go to the page setup, modify that A3 that I'm working on, and now I can change this to monochrome here. Okay. And then click preview, and there it is. That's what will be printed out as a PDF. Now notice one thing maybe I want to change. You see this box here? This is the box that shows the viewport. Let's say you actually don't want that. It doesn't look nice to have a box inside of my big thick box here that has the rounded edges on it, right? So I want to get rid of this line here. That's the line for the viewport. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, so let's close this. Okay, I'm back in here. Come back to my home tab. If you click on this viewport line, that line is printing there. Okay, well, I'm going to right click on it and just click on properties, and this will show me what layer that viewport is in. Okay, well, if I look here, the layer is on the 0 layer right here. Okay, so here's the way I should do that. I should go to layer properties, and let's create a new layer, and let's just call it the viewport. Okay, Now with this viewport layer then, now when I come back, let's close that, come back to my model space, or sorry, my paper space, and I want to put this viewport in that viewport layer I just created. There's several ways to do it. You can right click and click on properties and then just simply change it here. I can change it to that viewport layer. Okay, so now I've made that viewport in its own layer called viewport. Okay, now watch this. Go back to layer properties, and your box may be kind of small here. Maybe it looks too small. Expand it out, okay, where you can see more things. And look here. You see these different layers on the viewport, and you see this little printer icon here. This is the plot section. So I can turn this on or off. You see that little red circle, that red cancel button? Well, that shows that, well, this layer will not plot. Okay, so let's take the viewport layer and let's uncheck this. So that means that viewport layer will not plot. Okay, now let's come back over here to my output and now go to preview again, and you see that viewport is not there, right? So that's just another way you can modify your layers, even which layers will plot. Let's say you don't want to plot the hatching. Well, instead of turning it off, you could just click here, so now the hatching will not plot, but you still see it. Okay, so I still see the hatching over here in model space, but then when I go to my plot and I go to output and preview, well, you see that the hatching doesn't show up anymore. Okay, so that's just showing how you can control it in the control what prints from the layer properties. Okay, I do want my hatching to print though. All right, so for your project, have the viewport in its own layer and don't print the viewport. Okay, there it is. So I've shown you how to edit the title block, how to hide the viewport, how to find your object in the viewport, how to set a scale, okay, and how to define the scale here. So now you can simply save this as a PDF. So let's plot that. Preview. Okay, everything looks okay there. Actually, let's change it to black and white on that monochrome. Okay, A3 sheet of paper. Click OK, and now just save it as a PDF, and that's what you would take to a print shop to print on A3 paper.